Alright, look so far. I mentioned Rook minor versus Rook is forced draw, but sometimes the defender's constricted and the attacker exploits flaws. Of all these tactical possibilities, most begin with the enemy monarch restricted to a wall dwindling. The longest winning scenarios involving a flawlessly perfect offense with no slip-ups are some pretty fine and groovy winning lines that can take up to 59 moves in the case of Rook versus Rook and Bishop. But these sequences are of consuming complexity, too hard, so we'll cruise through all these progressively. Now let's move on to question 3. Should the defender's methods be implemented carefully or effortlessly? Carefree against the knight.
Scary against the bishop.
Yikes, grandmasters can't even manage to defend this shit, right? A general drawing method against the knight is implemented easily breezily, but the bishop's more likely to be decisive, drawing succeedingly strategically. The weaker team's king normally can't afford to be trapped on a border where the bishop's posted on the 4th, but frankly it's not vulnerable against a horse which has got to be supported on rank 3 in order to be a great steed who makes cheese. The bishop inhibits the enemy rook more efficiently, and look how it's complementary to its king in restricting a sufficient amount of squares, preventing playing so direct opposition's not as much of an issue as it can seem. These concepts I'm referring to are the bishop's triangle. These abilities are kind of why it's superior to the knight. It's able to assist in imprisoning the defender like a stable lighted jail, and the bishop's prepared to maintain its formation, restricting key squares on the 1st and 2nd ranks, whereas the knight needs 2 moves to maneuver from squares backed by its king, and it can't waste empty. The horse also can't control and threaten the 1st and the 4th. Contact checkmates are always supported from the 2nd and 3rd, of course, but there are some special mates that can only be performed by the horse that will work on the central 2nd rank next to corner of king support. Knight's not very dangerous when it blocks checks from behind. All its main ideas of threats involve a block from the side. For bishops, this concept only slightly applies. The 3rd and 4th aren't much different with the bishop's triangle in mind. By now you should get why you're able to defend more simply against the knight. Just position your rook actively should be good enough to get a tie. The most naturally occurring formations have a passively observing horse on the 4th rank. That's the closest that can be attained. A draw is maintained unstrained. Rather than attempting to stay put in the center, it's simpler to anticipate getting forced toward a border that's not a corner with your rook opposite on the 8th that augments its strength and avoids forks, so there's no risk to take. If your king should be forced to rotate its location, it's important to bring the rook towards the corresponding 8th rank.
It's your responsibility to see that you accordingly maintain, since
active rooks devolve abilities when kings revolve their formations. It's somewhat similar against the bishop, but it's utterly different since the color's strictly required to be the same as the 5th rank on the defensive file. Trying to defend the file where the color's the same as the 4th simply permits the bishop to cover where it's not as lame as a horse. You need to defend where it can only get to the 5th, because naturally the attacker's king is concerned with the 3rd. There's a gap it would have to abandon it to advance any further. It can't reside on the line of fire when trying to climb higher, so it has to move to one side. The bishop evacuates the file. Want to drive the rook from the 2nd rank at the first opportunity. Units operate in unity, otherwise the method requires a professional kind of scrutiny.